this is by far one of the most, let's say, controversial topics in the spiritual field. Is our life subjected to free will, or is our life destiny predetermined in the greatest detail? It's very hard to answer this question. I was fascinated myself of this topic for many years. I read a lot of books on this topic, and I followed these ideas, speaking with different teachers while following different courses. And I must say that I almost got angry a few times because I discovered so many contradictions on this specific topic. I had many books in which in one chapter the author stated that our life is established in the greatest detail, that we do have some kind of script laying behind our daily life, and then later in the same book the same author said that we do have free will and we do have such a large array of choices all the time. And I was thinking, listen, it's such a great contradiction. Wasn't it obvious that it's not clear for the author, and so on? So all in all, this is, I repeat it once again, one of the most controversial topics. I would still like to offer my own answer, but I want to underline many times that this is my own opinion, and it's my own opinion now, today, at this very moment. Because if I were to be honest, I would say that in a spiritual path, you never know everything. Each day is a really new opportunity to discover and to understand new things and deeper truths. So you can't boast that you really know and understand everything. Everything might be completely changed in the following day. Probably this is why in ancient Greece, Socrates told us his famous idea that all I know is that I know nothing. So, coming back to my own opinion right now, if I were to resume in a nutshell form these last 10 years of working as a therapist or as a client with regression therapy and with other therapies, what I have understood until now is that we do have a specific destiny here on earth, in this dimension in which we live right now. So our lives are predetermined 100%, or at least in a very high percent. And yes, when I wrote Piotr, being Piotr Ilyich, this idea was transmitted to me many times. The idea that everything had its own specific meaning in my life as Piotr Ilyich, that nothing was subjecting to mere happening without any meaning, and that everything had its very specific purpose for my evolution. Generally speaking, in many spiritual books, you will find this idea of spiritual contract. The idea that to some extent when we are in the higher realms of higher vibration, no matter if we call them the seventh dimension or heavens or home, we do choose the story of our life, which is to some extent a life script. And sometimes this idea of even signing a soul contract, that we do agree to live that life, is mentioned in a lot of books by a lot of great authors. For example, Michael Newton, who wrote a lot of about life between lives, or other authors who wrote about past lives and spirituality and so on. So what I want to tell you are three very important ideas connected with this idea of destiny. The first one is that we do have indeed free will, but I do not think that this is expressed right now here on earth, but it is really expressed in the higher realms, in the worlds beyond. When this life script is conceived, it is conceived following and deeply respecting our free will. Everything that we do live on earth is tailored on our way of thinking, of being, on our deepest needs and desires. Of course, that sometimes it could be very hard to accept that one choose to be killed or raped or any kind of violence submitted on our being is hard to accept, and any kind of inner pain and any kind of suffering is difficult to accept, of course. But this is because we do see life from this terrestrial limited perspective. If we were to see the things from above, from the point of view of our higher self, we would then realize that most often our soul feels the need to experience extremely different life perspective, to be victim today and perpetrator tomorrow in another body and in another life, and that we do change our roles, that we are in the same family today, we might be the son, and in another body, in another lifetime, we might be the mother of the spirit who was the parent in the last incarnation, and so on. So we always change the roles, the perspective, the situations in order to enrich our soul experience. So all in all, I think that nobody makes us live something on earth that we have not really chosen and approved. So I think that everything is tailored respecting our free will, but in the world beyond. Then the second important mention I have is that there is no God or a spiritual guide or someone trying to manipulate us here on earth. If these life scripts are already written, is because the other beings from beyond want to help us exactly in order to make us evolve as faster as possible, and spending, let's say, the smallest amount possible of energy and of suffering for evolution. So the happenings that are tailored for us, the people around us, the relationships, everything is clearly and very carefully planned, especially for making us not missing important lessons that we want to live, and in order to ensure a very deep and fast system of learning, let's say. Let's try to pick up an example. Let's say that in the past life, you have lost your husband who died very young. And let's say that you have such a deep need for meeting him again and being with him again and living a peaceful and a happy life right now. And I would ask you, what chance would you have, mathematically speaking, to meet exactly the same soul, the same spirit that was your husband in the last life, if you really want to live, to keep on living with him, your own love story, if there are milliards of people on earth? You have absolutely no chance, or the mathematical possibility is very, very reduced to meet exactly the spirit you want and you need in your life. So the script is conceived so that you will meet exactly the spirit that you need and with which you have an unsolved karma. Then, speaking about experiences, let's say that in a past life you were humiliated by a group of people, let's say 2 or 3 people who were part of your family, and that you do feel the need not to revenge, because in the words beyond this concept of karma, seeing as a revenge does not exist, but you feel the need of changing the perspective and expressing your frustration and empowering and telling to the people who have humiliated you, telling them no, I don't want to be humiliated, and I do respect myself, and please respect me. And then this life, the divinity might create a script for you in which you will meet that person's in one of your jobs, let's say, in your professional path. And there will be a situation especially created for you to express exactly towards the same person the opposite situation than the one you have originally lived. And you will impose your will in front of them, and you will tell them, I do not accept this, and I ask you to respect me. So if you do work with regression, you will see how from one life to another there are certain situations, certain life experiences, certain relationships continued, and that exactly what happened in one lifetime gives a conclusion in another lifetime, and that something that happened in one lifetime gives birth to the consequences that you live in the following lifetime. And this can't be left to the simple choices of a human being who lives between millions of people. So I think that everything is carefully planned for our own upper evolution and for our higher benefits, let's say. And another very important, and the last important thing I want to add about this idea of destiny is that one important trap, let's say, that people fall into when they think of the idea of destiny is that they think, oh my God, so if my life is already determined, then there is nothing else to change, nothing else to choose, and I must be completely passive, and they simply choose to do nothing because we are all subjected to destiny, and so there is no use to make any effort. This is the greatest mistake. A passive attitude towards life is the worst attitude to have, because the fact that things are already planned does not mean that you know what is already planned. Of course, that your life might go on in the same, let's say, routine that you have already had, and that things must be to some extent predictable, but you don't know if tomorrow some great changes expect you, or if tomorrow you don't suddenly decide that you want, after 30 years of living in a country, to change your life in a quite abrupt way, and to move in another country, to sell everything that you have, and to go meditate in the Himalayas. I don't know. So what I want to say is that try to always live your life being as present as possible, being conscious of every moment, of every second in your life, living in spontaneity, because life is made up exactly of this important, let's say, moment of choices, because everything that matters in life is the point when you must decide, should I keep on walking on this path or should I change it completely and walk in the other direction? So this is why most of the time we are not allowed to see our future, because even if the things are already settled, it is important to live fully our lives, and especially to pass through this very important and transformative experience of making a choice. The choices that we make determine our way of being, make up our character, determine our most important values in a lifetime. So even if the things are already planned, and even if somewhere beyond us a spiritual guide or our higher self or God himself knows what it will happen tomorrow with us, or when will we exactly die, this does not mean that we should be passive in front of life. On the contrary, we should live it fully, being as much present as possible in each second. And we should never forget that we are always guided, that we are always assisted, and that no matter if life is predetermined or not, it is a very important gift and a very important resource in which our soul has put so much energy. So if we infuse it with love, it will bear its fruits.